Alo Mingaba. Hello everybody. Welcome back to MMTV's weekly news program. Today, we will be discussing the current situation in Myanmar, starting with the global interest in Myanmar's issues, followed by the challenges faced domestically. I'm Quentin Covington, and I will be presenting the news that happened during this week. First, let's go over the news summaries. The National Unity Government's NUG Union Minister of Defense, U Yimon, has urged military council battalions and regional headquarters to cooperate with civilians. The Prime Minister of the National Unity Government of Myanmar, Maung Kanteng, stated that we are nearing the end of the Spring Revolution that has been ongoing for more than 3 years. He emphasized the importance of celebrating the victory in a balanced manner, coordinating all revolutionary forces, including military, political, and administrative aspects. The People's Embrace Group is urging terrorist armies to work with the NUG as the army begins to crumble. The National Unity Government has strongly condemned the military council's airstrike on hospitals. The India for Myanmar group has asked the Indian government to stop supporting the military council. There have been nearly 5,800 airstrikes reported since the coup. The Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, MNDAA, has taken control of the regional military headquarters in Lashio. The Karenni National Defense Force, KNDF, announced that they seized 5 military council camps in July. The Ta'aun National Liberation Army, TNLA, has captured all military council camps in Chalkmai. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, AAPP, has reported that 5,478 people have died during the Spring Revolution. Let's move into the full report. U Yimon has called on military units, including battalions, main division military operations commands, and regional operations commands, to quickly reach out to the NUG and revolutionary organizations to collaborate with civilians. He warned, now the last day of the military dictator has arrived. The idea that the privileged people can bully civilians has completely fallen. The people's government and revolutionary organizations are the ones truly responsible for preventing the disintegration of the Union. U Yimon urged military council members to stop their loyalty to the military dictator, stand with the people, and cooperate with the NUG and revolutionary organizations before it's too late. He continued, "We are fighting the system, not the people. We don't want you to lose your lives, nor do we want the lives of our revolutionary comrades and the public to be wasted. We respect not only your lives, but also your dignity." To stop and solve the current situation in time, the command commander, division commander, and military operations commander of the military council need to contact and coordinate with the NUG and ethnic revolutionary organizations to arrest and remove Min Aung Hlaing and the top generals, saving the future of the army and the country. The CDM soldier organization also urged the military to respect civilian command in accordance with democratic standards, carry out the primary defense duty of the army, and make reforms towards the emergence of a federal army that the people desire. Union Prime Minister Maung Kanteng of the NUG stated, "We all must have accepted that we are seeing the end of the Spring Revolution that has been going on for more than 3 years. The important thing now is how we celebrate the victory in a balanced way." He congratulated the success of the Revolutionary Allied Forces led by the Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, MNDAA, and the Ta'aung National Liberation Army, TNLA, for successfully occupying the northeastern military headquarters in Ramakha on August 3rd. He expressed confidence that continued efforts to balance political and military actions across the country will lead to further successes and the eventual downfall of the coup d'etat group. Only when the coup ends can the suffering of the people from all sides be alleviated quickly. The people who suffer from the effects of war and inflation are living in a state of insecurity, both mentally and physically. As a follow-up to inflation, the problem of fuel shortages is also severely affecting people's livelihoods. As a follow-up to inflation, the problem of fuel shortages is also severely affecting people's livelihoods. Therefore, as revolutionary forces, when one side is intensifying the war, the other must focus on political consultations, and only by continuing to work together can this journey come to an end faster. On August 6th, the People's Embrace Group urged terrorist army officers to work with the NUG government as the military begins to crumble due to the excessive self-interest and power madness of Senior General Min Aung Hlaing. The group emphasized that the collaboration with the NUG and the ethnic armed organizations is necessary to arrest and remove Min Aung Hlaing and the top generals, saving the future of the army and the country. The military defeats are getting bigger, and the coup is beginning to collapse because of the excessive selfishness and power madness of Min Aung Hlaing. Due to the power madness and oppressive brutality of military leader Min Aung Hlaing, the People's Armed Revolution arose, and thousands of soldiers, including command commanders, division commanders, and military operations commanders of the Military Council, are dying, being captured as prisoners of war, or committing suicide. In addition, Min Aung Hlaing punished the military officers who resisted until the end in Lao Cai battle, but surrendered due to the lack of reinforcements, imposing severe sentences up to life imprisonment as culprits of the war's defeat. The current political situation connected to the military crisis has led to the arrest and several punishments of many senior military officers, including regional commanders. The army that was born with independence is beginning to collapse because of Min Aung Hlaing's excessive selfishness and madness for power. Under Min Aung Hlaing, a power-crazed military leader who is oppressing and destroying the country and the army, no senior military officer's life, position, wealth, or the future security of their family can be guaranteed. Therefore, we urge the arrest and removal of Min Aung Hlaing and the top generals to save the army and the country's future. Respect for the civil command in accordance with the democratic standards and carrying out the military's primary duty of national defense is necessary to recognize the interest and existence of all ethnic groups and to reform the federal army that the people desire. This was published by the People's Embrace Group, Wives of People's Soldiers, and People's Goals. The NUG's Ministry of Health issued a strong condemnation on August 2nd against the Military Council's airstrikes on hospitals and civilian homes, which resulted in 8 deaths and numerous injuries. The NUG highlighted that these attacks are flagrant violations of the Geneva Convention, United Nations Security Council resolutions, and international laws on humanitarian aid and human rights. On August 1st, the Military Council carried out airstrikes with 4 heavy bombs in Tonchan City, Lao Cai, which was not a battlefield. The next day, August 2nd, the military dropped 17 bombs on Yoyuan village in Kaokang district, resulting in significant damage to civilian homes, hotels, and cars. Similar attacks occurred on July 10th when a drone bombed a rural health branch building in Ta Nang Kon village, and on July 15th when a district public hospital in Tandwe City in Rakhine State was bombed. During these attacks, 8 people, including health workers, civilians, and PDF comrades, were killed, and many others were injured. A 1.5-year-old child of a CDM midwife was also seriously injured. The NUG Ministry of Health strongly condemned these deliberate attacks on hospitals by the Military Council, calling them clear violations of international laws and humanitarian principles. They urged the international community to act swiftly and effectively to stop these war crimes and human rights violations. India for Myanmar, an India-Myanmar monitoring group, sent a letter to the Indian government on August 5th asking them to stop supporting the Military Council, including the sale of weapons. The group also urged the Indian government to reconsider its policies, which contradict the democratic aspirations of the Burmese people and risk damaging future India-Myanmar relations. India for Myanmar demands that the Indian government immediately stop human rights violations and release Burmese war refugees who are on hunger strike. The letter also called for an end to direct trade using Myanmar jet and the Indian rupee, and the group strongly urged the Indian government to halt all business activities with the Military Council. India for Myanmar further advocated for the reconsideration of policies led by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi that go against the wishes of the Burmese people and potentially harm future relations between India and Myanmar. According to the Myanmar Institute for Strategic and Policy Study, ISP Myanmar, the Military Council has carried out nearly 5,800 airstrikes across the country since the coup. Over 1,500 airstrikes have occurred in Shan State since Operation 1027 began in October of 2023, accounting for more than 26% of airstrikes nationwide. Kayah State had the second highest number of airstrikes, with over 1,200 attacks. Airstrikes have been reported in 147 townships out of 330 across the country. Among these, Sagaing region had the most with 33 townships, followed by Shan State with 25 townships. Airstrikes have nearly doubled since Operation 1027 began, with the number of airstrikes rising from about 2,000 before the operation to at least 3,800 after. On August 4th, at least 13 civilians were killed when the military council airstrike targeted Kantang and Wayon villages in Singu Township, according to MDY-PDF. In northern Shan State, where fighting is still intense, airstrikes continue and at least 4 people were killed when the military council bombed Kukai village on August 5th. In more than 3 years since the military coup, nearly 2,000 civilians have been killed, and nearly 4,000 have been injured due to military airstrikes and heavy weapons attacks. The MNDAA successfully took control of the Northeastern Military Command in Lashio on August 3rd. This victory followed a month of intense fighting, which resulted in significant casualties and the displacement of over 200,000 people from the city. A person familiar with the military situation in Lashio stated, "We have fully controlled the Northeastern Military Command of the Military Council. Right now, we are still looking for some leaders. The rest will be known when the Kokang forces release the details." The MNDAA announced that they could seize the Northeast Regional Military Headquarters since July 25th, but the Military Council denied this claim. Since July 23rd, the MNDAA attacked the Military Council's Northeast Military Headquarters, including the nearby No. 626 Battalion and the 100-bed Medical Battalion. However, the presence of these military units made it difficult for the MNDAA to fully control the headquarters, leading to a prolonged battle. Since July 3rd, Lashio City has been attacked by the MNDAA and joint forces, and within a month, the MNDAA captured and controlled the Northeast Regional Military Headquarters. During a month of battle, the heavy weapon, small arms fire, and airstrikes resulted in deaths of more than 100 civilians, including members of the Social Assistance Group, and nearly 200 were injured. Hundreds of homes in the city were also destroyed, and more than 200,000 people were forced to flee to safety. The Karenni National Defense Force, KNDF, announced on August 3rd that during the fighting between the Military Council and the Karenni National Defense Force troops in Karenni, 4 camps and a gate were seized and destroyed, and more than 50 soldiers of the Military Council were killed. A month-long battle took place from June 15th to July 15th in Pinglong Township between the Military Council and Pa'o Militia, PNO, and KNDF Joint Forces. The Karenni Joint Forces attacked the Military Council column that was marching towards Songpyeong and Naungwo village in Pinglong Township, resulting in the deaths of nearly 20 members of the Military Council. In addition, a Military Council camp and a police station were seized and burned down, and weapons and ammunition were captured. Since July 18th, the KNDF and allied forces captured and burned several military camps and checkpoints, including the Lualong camp and checkpoint on the Maobi-Hiseng Road, between Yangshui and Pekon Township. During the battle, more than 30 military council members were killed, and weapons and ammunition were seized. In July, battles between military council and Karenni Joint Forces occurred in Loikao, Pasong, and Demoso townships, leading to counterattacks by joint forces and further battles in Pekon, Pinglong, and Yangshui townships in Shan State. In Loikao City, drone and bombing attacks by the military council resulted in the deaths of more than 5 civilians and many injuries. More than 60 houses were burned down in Loikao town during almost a month of fighting. On August 5th, the TNLA seized all remaining military council camps in Chalkmay, including the No. 1 Operational Command Headquarters. Since June 24th, the TNLA forces have been attacking the artillery and military council battalions in Chalkmay and have now controlled all areas of the city. A local resident stated that it took time for the TNLA forces to capture all the camps because the last remaining camp under the No. 1 Operational Command Headquarters continued to resist outside Chowkmeh. The military council had been in a strategic position, making it difficult for TNLA forces to advance. However, the TNLA eventually captured the location, and it appeared that the military council has surrendered. Min Aung Hlaing, the leader of the military council, stated on August 5th through state-owned media that security forces had to withdraw during the fighting in Northern Shan State, and he promised to restore peace in the entire country, including that region. In addition to capturing all the military bases in Chowkmeh, the TNLA and PDF forces have seized towns such as Nangcho, Singgu, Mongme, and Mako as part of the second phase of the 1027 campaign. Meanwhile, Lasho has been controlled by the MNDAA. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, AAPP, reported that 5,478 civilians have been killed by the military council since the coup began in February of 2021. The AAPP continues to document the ongoing human rights abuses and has urged the international community to intervene and support the people of Myanmar. The AAPP has compiled a list of around 2,300 murder victims whose names are still under investigation and need to be confirmed. The total number of arrests and detention from February 1st, 2021 to August 5th, 2024 stands at 27,150, with 20,715 still in detention. Among those detained, 9,299 have been sentenced to prison terms, and 123 have been sentenced to death. The AAPP also reported that 167 people have been sentenced to death, including 44 in absentia. The AAPP urged anyone with information on detainees and fatalities during the Spring Revolution to contact them at fatality-data@aappb.org or detention-data@aappb.org. The AAPP's figures reflect the data they have collected, but the actual numbers on ground may be higher. This concludes the news we have gathered during this week. Every day, Myanmar continues to strive for democracy and fight for human rights in various ways. Therefore, we urge everyone, both globally and nationally, to continue supporting Myanmar in its pursuit of justice and freedom. Thank you all very much. My name is Quentin Covington. I'll see you guys next week.